Shalom. I want to start off by giving all glory, praises, and honor unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the brothers that's teaching this truth and sincerity. And shalom to the hopeful elect. Alright, 1/3. Sincere. So today's lesson, I was gonna do a lesson on this post I had seen on social media. And I'm gonna read out the post. Start out from what this person has said. It says, coming from Jamaica, I don't believe the bullshit that there was only Arawak Indians and Indians living in all these Caribbean and Southern American countries. Okay? Being that the sun is more concentrated in these places, being that they're close to the equator, there definitely had to be black people living there before the slave trade. Now, obviously, this is a very opinionated statement. All right, this was made by a Jake, okay, who has no knowledge, lacks understanding. All right, coming from Jamaica. Jamaica would be you so-called Benjamites. You so-called Benjamites. All right, the rest of the Caribbean so-called blacks would be from the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, but here's the thing now. Before you Benjamites were on the land of Jamaica, there were so-called Indians on the island, and they were of dark skin as well. All right, it had nothing to do with the sun. Okay, but they were on the islands before you were, just like in the island of Puerto Rico. All right, who did they see there? They saw you so-called Indians. All right, you so-called Latinos. All right, you Ephraimites. Okay, of Indian descent. You were there. So what makes you think that when these so-called Indians, when they came to North, South America, as well as the Caribbean, that they were not on these islands, man? They were here first, and I have the history, and I'm going to bring it out. Okay? And I'm going to read it as well. But I want to break down this man's statement a lot, because he's not coming with no knowledge, no understanding, no scriptures. What scripture is that? You know what I mean? But let them be ignorant still. They that be ignorant, let them be ignorant still. You can't reason with these people, man. They're not trying to see this shit. They're not to say this is shit, but they're not trying to see this truth from the way we see it, man. They want to be caught up in their own ways. Alright? He then goes on to make mention about the sun being more concentrated. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Alright, what does the sun have to do with you being more melanated or not? Okay, yeah, when you're out in the sun, you do get tanned, right? But that's not gonna, through time, 1,000 years, eventually you become dark skinned. Like, if you're so-called lighter skin, that's just what you are. All right, you might get a little tan, and that's that. The Most High picks and chooses your skin tone, man. But that doesn't make you not. It's not even about skin tone. It's skin color. All right, but that doesn't make you not so-called an Israelite. Because really, it's not. I'm not trying to even use the word black. Okay, because we're not black. All right, you know, and to be honest, I should have questioned them and be like, who gave you the name Black? You know what I mean? But I'm not arguing. We're not in a time of argument. You know what I mean? So I'm not even on the social media to be keyboard warrior. All right, we're not even on that time. We're just here to push out this truth. This is just to edify the flock. This statement here, you know, to dispel all myths and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of confusion going on. There's a lot of division within Israel. All right. Well, the Most High Yahushua is gonna join that stick. You know what I mean? But I have to let the other information come out, man. because that whole thing with to do with the sun, man. That's a Edomite ideology. That's Edomite science, man. That's bullshit. It's false. It's a fault. It's a fallacy in a sense. It's false. There's nothing. There's no proof to it, man. Because if I go to the land of China right now and I have a so-called black woman and I impregnate her in the land of China, all right, a so-called black child will come out. You get me? The child will not look Chinese. All right, the citizenship of the child would be Chinese, but his nationality is not so-called Chinese. All right, he would be an Israelite. Okay, and in lamer terms, he would be so-called black, but that's not what we are. We're straying away from those words. We're not on that timing right now. You know what I mean? So being that the sun is more concentrated in these places, being that they're close to the equator, you know, all that equator talk, like, who told you about the equator, nigga? You know what I mean? Who cares? Who cares about, yeah, the sun is most concentrated at the equator. But what the fuck does that mean? Okay? I can go into the northernmost countries, alright? I can be in England. England's pretty north, alright? Or even Canada, Alaska. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It could be in Alaska. Cold as fuck. Black people, so-called black people live in Alaska. You know what I mean? Black people come out, they're not turning white. Now, okay, we can get a little technical. Alright, it's a so-called black man impregnates a so-called white woman. Of course, over time, you're gonna become a little bit more light-skinned. Alright? And that's just what happens. Okay? But it's not even about your skin tone, man. And you know, we need to get away from that. You know, I had people trying to tell me I had a little bit of, you know, people try to say, oh, you have a little bit of white in you, you're on the lighter side. You know what I mean? Or you're not black enough. Like, weirdo shit like that. You don't even argue with idiots. You know what I mean? We have this truth. We know what's going on, man. We don't care about skin tone, color, this, that, and the third, man. It's by the spirit. It's what your spirit is saying. You know what I mean? So, what else did it say, man? You know? But this is just a real ignorant statement. I'm going to read it again just so you know. Coming from Jamaica, I don't believe the bullshit that there was only Arawak Indians and Indians living in all these Caribbean and Southern American countries. Really, nigga? Being that the sun is more concentrated in these places, being that they're close to the equator, there definitely had to be black people living there before the slave trade. Now, this is an ignorant jig that's really bugged out off of Esau. You know what I mean? You listen to Esau, holds Esau into regard. You know what I mean? No knowledge. Not gonna dig deep into the histories to find true answers, true knowledge, true wisdom. Alright, but I'm gonna get this scripture. This is 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. Because how the hell did these so-called Indians get to the land, to the other side of the world, man? And here's the history. We're gonna read it to you. Those are the 10 tribes, 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hoshea the king, whom Salmanazar the king of Syria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. Okay, and so came they into another land. Alright, so then these Israelites were in the Assyrian captivity, and they got, right? Or they're under the Assyrian captivity. Alright. And they got carried into another land, right? You know, Israel always going into captivity, being under another nation, subjugated unto another nation. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So yeah, even though they were subjugated, all right, they weren't in like chattel slavery or anything like that. So they had form of liberty to take upon themselves to be like, fuck it, we don't want to live by the law of this land, okay? Because they want to practice the laws of the Most High in peace, all right, without being judged, without being persecuted. You know what I mean? So, and they had the liberty to actually leave, all right, to escape from these heathens, all right. And we could probably pull up their, their travels. Maybe if I see in my Bible the maps and whatnot. North Memphis. Assyria. Syrian captivity. We type in Euphrates. River. Maps. Okay. So right. So look. So they were under the Assyrian captivity, and they found their way into the Euphrates River. So this is it, all along here, all along here, all along here. Okay. All along here. Because what people need to understand is bodies of water are all connected. You know what I mean? Unless it's a lake. But even so, no. Lakes are even connected to streams and rivers. Okay? So, as you can see, they traveled all along here to get out of here. Okay, so they're finally in the Persian Gulf. You know what I mean? They're making their way now. They're making their way. They're making their way. So I'm gonna read their journey, man. You know what I mean? It says, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. And I went through the narrow passages. I showed you. It was narrow as hell. Alright? Okay. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. So they were only able to travel so through the power of the Most High. Okay? That's one thing you need to consider, man. You think you could actually just pick up and go? Alright? You know there's prepping and planning and food that had to be you know, I'm sure they've made stops along the way. Alright, but it had to be well thought out. And also on top of that, a divine entity had to help them. Okay? And that's why everything has to be given praise and honor unto Yahweh Shem Shai at the end of the day. It says, for the Most High then showed signs with them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. Okay? And it took them that long to get to the next side. And the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt there until the latter time. And now when they shall begin to come, okay. So the new land that they went to, called Arsville, which was the North America, okay. You know what I mean? And that's how the 10 tribes, because even then it says those are the 10 tribes. And who are the 10 tribes? All right. So you had a little bit of hey, uh, Levi mingled among the northern kingdom because Levi were the priests, so they were in all the lands of Israel. All right. So you had Levi in southern kingdom, you had Levi in the northern kingdom. Okay. And you see a little bit of that through the spirit. All right. Through the spirit, you see Levi and Simeon on the same island, man. You know what I mean? What are the chances of that? You know, it's all through the spirit, though, because you have Levi in the land of Simeon, which would be the Dominican Republic today. You know what I mean? And Levi is a so-called black tribe, if you want to put it that way. All the nations have melanin. I mean, all the tribes have melanin. All right, and all the nations do have melanin except for Esau. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was just the history to back up what this numbskull was saying, man. But obviously he wouldn't dive deep in to get this knowledge because it's pretty deep, you know. And he did. Oh, how do you know? White man wrote the book. You know, there's no argument. You know, if you believe in the Most High, you believe in His truth, then you know what it is. At the end of the day, there is no back and forth bickering, none of that. There's nobody have time for that, man. We're not in the time for that, you know. But the history must come out. You know what I mean? Um, but yes, that was the point. Okay, because they had to make that journey, year and a half, all the way through here, all the way through here, come all along down here, all along down here. You see where my mouse is going? All down here, all down here, right? To then make their way here, right? So you might have had, you probably, some came here straight, some came here straight, some came here straight, but you know, you might have just had it to where some came here straight, and then they are all, you know, wherever, however the Most High had it, but they just made their way all along and spread up all the way up into Canada, up all the way up north too. Because these are Jakes up here, man. These Israelites that are living up here are Jakes, man. I mean, they're Israelites, you know what I mean? I know it sounds like a double whammy, but yeah, man. That's exactly what they are, man. These tribes that are living up here, so all the way up here, man. From all the way here, 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 man. All the way up in here. You know what I mean? Israelites, man. Come on now. Tribe of Gad all the way up here, man. Okay. Reuben all the way up in America. Gad here too. Reuben. Alright. Issachar. Alright. Naphtali. Simeon. Ephraim. You know? Who else? Ashar. Ashar is there. Come on now. You know what I mean? All of these tribes, man. And then you have, even in Brazil now, you have southern tribe all up in here. You have northern tribe all up in Brazil. You know what I mean? Like Brazil, I think you had more so-called blacks go to Brazil than even the United States, or they might have been the second most. I can't remember. But regardless, it's a mix. You know, Jake is all about, man. Jake is like the sign of the sea, man. You can't measure Jake. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But this is how they were able to get to the next side, through the spirit of the Most High, man. All right, and they had knowledge of the other. They had a knowledge of the other side as well. Okay, through King Solomon. King Solomon had his merchant ships. You know what I mean? So they knew of the other land, the other side. Calm. you know.